So thinking about being triggered this holiday season, going home for the holidays and not wanting to be the version of you that you were before you're the version that you are now. It's the inner child. It's the old environment. It's the house you grew up in. It's the people who didn't find the path that you have found. It's the politics. It's all of it. And I'm facing that right now. I know people talk a lot about inner child. For me, I had to go through adolescence into early adulthood and heal that because I met my ex-husband when I was 15 and we had a baby and we moved a lot, like ridiculous amount of time, dozens of times across several states, even to Mexico. And we did that for 15 years and we broke up when I was 30. So my whole identity was wrapped up in who I was in that relationship, and I had to heal that. Now I'm good, and it's the inner child. It's a real thing, and I've moved back to Texas about 3 months ago, and I haven't lived in my home state since I graduated college in 2013. So that was a long time ago. And now I'm in Austin, and I'm about a 3-hour drive from my parents. And it's coming up. Dude, it's going up. And I'm like, no, I thought I was going to be able to get around this whole inner child stuff that people talk about. But I'm able to approach it as the woman that I am now with the tools that I have now. This is not my first fucking rodeo in healing. And, I'm at a place where I help others to heal in their own way. So I feel like I got this because I do, but I see an opportunity to talk about it. And I went home the other day and my mom and my sister are difficult for me. My daughter is 7. She's almost 8. And I realized, and talking to my guys and stuff, I realized almost to the day my daughter is the same age that I was when my younger sister was born. Now, my sister and we have very much a kind of, I don't know, a toxic mother-daughter relationship, like a turbulent mother-daughter relationship. And that's because my parents got divorced when I was 15 and my sister was 7. And she was born when I was 7. And my daughter is 7. Like, you can't make this shit up. So I'm home with my kid, and I've been noticing this coming every time I've taken her home, which has been seldom because I lived in Colorado and also Mexico when she was a little older and not just a baby. And now she knows what's going on. And my sister has borderline personality disorder. And growing up with her was really difficult. My parents they checked out, like they were single for the first time in 20 or 30, 25 years. And so I raised my sister for my teenage years. And she even lived with me. At one point, I had legal guardianship of her in my early 20s until she called the cops on herself and ended up in a mental institution for juveniles for a long time. And I would have to drive 3.5 hours, like 4 hours to Raleigh to go and visit her. It was, yeah. So needless to say, my inner child, that's real. Your inner child, that's real. And I look at my daughter, my incredible little girl, and I'm like, oh my God, like I can't imagine you growing up in the world that I grew up in when I was your age. And same for my sister. When my sister was that age, like everything that was going on, to go back and look at how she was being raised and the influences around her. And so now I'm incredibly protective of her because, yeah, of course, I'm the breaker of this trauma in my family. And maybe you are too, and that's why you're drawn to this podcast. I went home and the last time I went home, I packed a bag of food. And I've done this before because I didn't grow up in a house where there was food in the fridge. I remember it. I'm feeling really emotional. It's crazy. Like these memories have always been here, but now I just see it and feel it differently. I remember eating a can of hash, like nasty, like sodium through the roof, like ham hash with like little cubes of potatoes, I guess it was. It's like basically dog food in a can, and I would just eat it like cold out of the pantry when I would come home from school, which sounds really dramatic, but I mean that is what I did. And also, I eat up pizza rolls like any 90s kid and eat like weird toxic candy back in the day that was bizarre colors. And I would fry eggs in the microwave. I remember I would always cook an egg in a microwave, and then it would explode about 50% of the time. So I don't recommend that. But yeah, my mom wasn't into cooking. When my parents got divorced, she just like fell off. And for holidays, she really into belly dancing, and she would go and do the Houston belly, like her troupe would go belly dance. And it was just my sister and I, like no more was there the big family gathering at my house, like because the big family stuff was on my dad's side, and they have their own set of issues. They're extremely religious, like whatever. So that was all gone. And then all of a sudden, my mom, she wasn't there when I woke up in the morning on holidays. She was around Thanksgiving specifically, and we were so broke. And I remember my ex-husband, my high school boyfriend, we were going out to this party on New Year's Eve, and my sister was little, like she was maybe like 9. And my mom was gone. I don't know what she was doing. She was out. And again, it sounds dramatic. Like my mom's not a bad person, but as an adult going back and reliving this, like not okay. Not okay. And I remember the ball was going to drop. And they were doing that, the thing on the TV. And I was like, I was standing there like with my boyfriend, my ex-husband, the father of my child now. And I was like, where are you going? I'm 17. I'm about to go to this New Year's Eve party at this like person's house in their fucking garage. Whatever. And where are you going? Because she's a 9. And she was like, I don't know, I'm gonna go do this. And I was like, what? And my mom's like, it's okay. She doesn't even know it's New Year's Eve. Like she doesn't even realize, she doesn't care. And I remember thinking to myself, I feel like she knows something about something, and also that she's gonna be home alone. I would never leave my child home alone. Oh my god, at 9. What? Okay. I mean, I can't even chalk it up to this was the 90s. This was not the 90s. This was the early 2000s. We had cell phones. It was no whatever. Okay, so this, and if you're listening to the audio of this, I'm holding up a picture of myself when I was maybe, I don't know, 4. Little me. And I went home this past, like a couple weeks ago, packed food for my daughter, food for myself. And I was feeling really sad about it. I was like, man, it would be really nice to just go home and feel cared for and feel safe, and it to be like a relief and not feel like I'm on edge and like I'm everybody's mom. And it's like I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. Because if I show up as the person that I am now, it's very triggering to people because I'm a mirror of what they're not and what they chose not to do. And especially my sister. But if I'm, not as happy and confident version of myself, then I'm not as happy and confident version of myself. And it's inauthentic, and that friction hurts. And this is what it goes against everything I stand for. So I just kind of feel sad because I have to be less and not be less, but just like be more of the observer, be quieter. I'm not like happy and free and like dancing and just like adding value to people's lives like I am when I'm around my like chosen family who can relate to that. So, and which I'm so grateful to have, because I didn't have this chosen family until after I got divorced. So packed a bag, went home, and I knew I had one mission to go home, and it was to find a picture of myself when I was little. And I did, and I was supposed to stay for 2 days, and as usual, I only stayed for one, packed up my stuff after one night, packed up, folded all my daughter's clothes, I made the little crappy futon, and I went to my dad's. And it was about an hour away. Also not a great place for me to be. He lives with his partner. She's not my mom. Like, she's got her own set of issues. Yeah. Nice person, but there's a lot going on there. And, watch my child eat margarine because I don't have the guts to stand up to this person and say, no, she's not going to eat that. So yeah, I'm like, it's just a not as evolved version of myself when I'm home, and it's not great. I'm not, but for me, that's where I'm at, because it's better than being mean and defensive and snapping at everyone because I'm in survival mode, which is how felt like I grew up. And just because you grew up in the suburbs like I did doesn't mean it was a happy home. And so I feel like there's some shame there. Like, you compare yourself to people who were in foster care or who just didn't have the things that you had, maybe, and you feel like, oh, there's nothing there. Like, why? I don't have anything going on in my childhood. Well, I can tell you, someone who can see all of this very clearly with my own self and with others, and works as a healer in retreats, it doesn't really matter what it looks like on the outside. It matters how it feels. And like, for example, I didn't know how to, I like, this killed me. I felt like I was so broken because when my daughter was little, I didn't know how to play with her. I couldn't. Like, it was like the most excruciating thing to sit there and try and like play pretend, because my mom didn't play with me. What is that? It was weird. And I finally, like, it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, because I've never did this with somebody. And I don't like, and it was when I watched the Barbie movie, and she's like playing Barbies with her daughter, and then now her daughter's like a brat and like a teenager, and she's remembering those times she was playing Barbies with her daughter. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, because I played Barbies with my daughter yesterday. My mom never played Barbies with me. What? Much less my sister. Come on. My mom was like way gone by that point. We have such an age gap, and her life was so different. She, was miserably married and then wasn't, and then she was finding herself, and very selfish about that. And I remember she was incredibly protective of her phone, and she was on Match.com at the time. That was the only like dating thing, that and eHarmony, posting sexy pictures, and it was just really weird. It was weird. This was a different time. It was all this was my mom. Like, it was weird. 90s babies will understand, but we weren't always about the social media stuff. And yeah, she was no longer mom at that point. I was mom to her and to my own sister and to myself. So it's hard to go home, because I go back into my sister's mad at me because I'm better than her in her eyes, and envious. And then also she like wants my approval desperately. Like, she wants to know what to wear. She used to, for years, she would beg me to do her makeup when I would come home, but not from a place of like love, but from a place of just desperation, like so painfully insecure. And then also my mom, she becomes like a child when I come home. She doesn't know how to work her phone. She doesn't know what to buy at the grocery store. She doesn't know how to park. She doesn't know how to drive. She doesn't know where it is. She doesn't know what products she needs to know, like down to the exact detail. Like, when she comes to visit me, what products am I using? And then she was taking pictures of all my shit. Or she's like, what's that recipe that you made, that you did? And I'm like, it was just fucking waffles, dude. I got the recipe from ChatGPT. She's like, no, but I want the high protein kind, that exactly how you did it. I'm like, I don't know. I make it different every time. I just tell GPT what ingredients I have and to give me a recipe. And I ask her to be high protein. She's like, well, what about this? Do you use this powder? Or do you use this flour? And I was like, so now I have to be very patient. and treat her like a child and not be angry about it and irritated about it, because it only hurts me. And she just like needs me to be her mom in a lot of ways. And she gets satisfaction and validation out of knowing that I am where I'm at in my life and she's my mom, that she somehow gets credit, you know? And so she wants to be mothered. And this is why I will drive or fly or whatever to visit family. And it's why I stayed away from family for over a decade and, you know, would only see them once a year or so, because it wasn't a healthy thing. So, but yeah, I'll do all the traveling and then all the organizing. And then once I'm finally with family, I'm doing all their organizing and I'm doing all the driving still. And I'm carrying in all the groceries and I'm carrying in everybody's bags, like just like me, just me by myself. I'm single, you know, and I got my girl, my daughter. And so it's a lot. And I had to switch to a place where I approach my mom like she's a child and with compassion. And it's not always easy, but it has been very helpful for me. And I have to look at my sister as someone who's deeply mentally ill, who's very much also a child, because she's been stunted intellectually in a lot of ways because she never leaves her fucking bedroom and has been chronically depressed for her entire life. She doesn't work. My mom pays all the bills. They live together. You know, it's like frozen in time over there. And it's hard. It's hard. And I don't want to like make them sad and them knowing that I feel this way, but my mom knows. My sister, I can't. It's not worth it to have these types of conversations. So I'm one removed. I have this like bubble of protection around me, and I call my guides to support me. I step away when I need to. I do short trips. My friend was like, well, why don't they just come stay with you? And my sister has never come to stay with me since I had guardianship of her. That was before my daughter was born. It was like 8 or 9 years ago. But my mom has stayed with me several times, and she's like, it has to be this huge thing. Like, she can't just pop in for the weekend. Even now that I live in Austin and she's in Houston, she can't just pop in for the weekend. It's like, oh my God, it's so far. I have to stay there for a week and a half and take off work. And it's like, oh my God, no, you don't. Like, what do you mean? Like, I literally came in for a day. So she's just like loopy about that. But I was like, no, I think, no one's coming to stay with me. No one's invading my space. I will go to you and I will leave when I want to leave and no one can stop me. Like, I'm free. That's what works for me. So as the holidays are coming up, I'm holding up this picture again of little me. I keep this in my car. I stare at this thing every single day in my car. And I live in Austin, so I'm on 35 for over an hour a day. Yeah. So little me, I just look at this picture and I don't know, my brain just kind of starts to go and it brings me back. And I remember, I was a little girl at one point and I asked myself the question, when was it in my childhood that I started to feel unsafe? And it's when my sister was born, because she's always had mental illness and my parents were checked out. I think they were about to get divorced actually whenever they decided to have her. They did decide to have her, but they were ready for divorce. And it was a hard 7 years until they did get divorced when she was 7. Again, I was a teenager. I was 15. So I kind of like ran away to college and then got married and then just like left it all. And my poor sister was just there to like, just like left with my mom. My mom's not a bad person at all. She's just a lost soul. And I love my family, but they don't add value to my life. They really don't. And I know that's harsh, but it's facts. And all I can do is just not be the worst version of myself with them, because they don't deserve that. And I'm better than that. So as you're getting triggered in these old environments with people that, and everyone's family is different. Like some people have like that crazy uncle, and I don't really talk to my aunts and uncles anymore. That part of my life is behind me. I'm in my 30s. And our family doesn't come together anymore, right? Like my parents are divorced. So, but for a lot of people, they're forced. And I've skipped weddings. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I get it now. Like, why that one aunt or whatever when I was older, when I was a kid, like why she never came around. And it's because she didn't want to be around. So as you're coming together with your family, and you've got so-and-so who's over here, like, giving you shit about your seed oils, or your lack thereof seed oils, and there's all the gluttony and the politics and just the people who are hurting. They're just hurting. It's not your job to fix everybody, and it's not your job to stand on a pedestal and be heard. It's okay to keep stuff for you. You're not going to change somebody's mind in one conversation, and it's not your job to change people's minds. It's only your job to be authentic to yourself and keep yourself safe. And so for me, keeping myself safe is remembering that I have a little girl inside of me who is looking around at the bedroom she grew up in. The walls, that's all the same. You know, the sister who still hates me for all intents and purposes, but is desperate for my attention at the same time. The mom who's become a child now. And then I look at my little girl, and I'm incredibly protective of her. And that's where I start to feel edgy, because I don't want her to be hurt, which she is. She's hurt every time she goes home to my old home. My sister, literally, she was like so pumped up, and she wanted to go and wake up my sister, who literally sleeps all day. Like she sleeps all day. She'll get up and eat maybe, and then she'll just go back to her bed, and I don't even know. But my daughter really likes her a lot because she's her aunt. Like she's like, yay. And then all of a sudden my kid is like, I have to brush my teeth. I really have to brush my teeth. And she's like all excited about it. She's like, I just have to brush my teeth right now. And she's like getting her toothbrush. And I was like, she's almost 8. She's not a baby. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is not like you. Why are you saying I have to brush my teeth? I have to brush my teeth first thing in the morning. And then I looked at her and I said, did Aunt Lily say that you had to brush your teeth? And my daughter like looked up at me with this look that she has, where she looks so much older and wiser than she should be at this age. And she just looks up and gave me that smirk that like a peer would give me, and shook her head yes. And so my sister wouldn't let a 7-year-old's morning breath be around her, this girl who can't even get out of bed. I'm like, come on now. So I went in there and I said, listen, you're making her insecure. You can't say that to her. Just, who cares? She's a kid. She just wanted to tell you good morning. And then my sister yells at me, points at the door. She gets this demon look on her face, which I'm incredibly familiar with, and says, get out, know your place. Because now that my sister, like, I'm the oldest, right? But I moved out. Like, my sister has lived in that same house her entire life. So she feels like the queen of the castle. Know your place. Yeah, that's not fun. That's not someone I'm looking forward to spending time with, that I want around my kid, that can just snap in a second. And I know it. I've lived it. I remember a few months prior when I was home and my sister was mad at me. She wanted to have a conversation with me, and she recorded the conversation and then stopped it right where she felt validated and from whatever. Okay. And then later on, I could feel a manic episode coming on with my sister. And it's a 2-story house. I could feel it. I just feel it. And my daughter is playing Legos and I'm sitting there with her. And my mom's just sitting on the couch, just like a dead body, basically. She doesn't do anything. She never has, ever. She's never done anything to intervene my whole life. So here we go. I'm back and it's like my inner child, but they're poking, but I'm an adult now. And it's poking all of this shit around that I grew up with is now poking at my girl, my little girl, my daughter. And so I like hurrying and I'm getting the headphones and putting the Bluetooth and I'm getting Taylor Swift, pop it on my kid's head just in time. My sister screams over the balcony as loud as she can that I'm a manipulative bitch. And I completely ignore it and just try to speak a little bit louder as I'm playing Legos with my daughter so she can't pick up on what's going on behind her. And she's got headphones on. My daughter's really wise. And so I know she knows that I put headphones on her for a reason, that something was going on, and she's going to have to deal with that shit later on in life, that lack of safety there. It's like the adults around me, or there's chaos or something going on. She's going to have to deal with it later. But that's the best I could do in that moment, is put headphones on her for completely unprompted. And like, she's not an idiot. She's like, why are you putting headphones on me? And she knows. But it spared her from what could have been a lot worse. So yeah, going home sucks. It really sucks. I don't want it to suck, but it does. And I decided I'm not going home for Christmas. My daughter's with her dad this Christmas. It's hard when you get divorced because half your kid's childhood just vanishes before your eyes. Like half their Halloweens, half their birthdays. No one prepares you for that. But you know, we're in our groove now, and we're co-parenting very well. And he's in Austin too. I did have to go to court it was a 5-figure custody battle in court to get out of the Colorado mountains to move here. I won custody, and then he ended up following us here so he could be with her. And we've resumed 50-50. So she's with him. I'm not going to go home, even though it's 3 hours away, and I haven't spent a Christmas at home in a decade. I'm going to go on a solo camping trip in the Austin Hill Country because I need nature. I live in the city now. I need nature, and that's just the woman that I've become. And I'm really grateful that I'm not the woman anymore that's like just sign me up for the emotional, psychological beating. It's hard. It's like the oldest daughter can often be what's referred to as the parentified daughter, meaning I'm everybody's parent. I'm my dad's parent, I'm my sister's parent, I'm my mom's parent, I'm my daughter's parent. I didn't feel very parented. I told my mom that it was hard. I didn't grow up in an affectionate family. Like there wasn't like hugs and love and kisses and I love yous and stuff. But with my daughter, I'm incredibly affectionate. And it was hard for me at first. And I struggled in my marriage with that. But I've since, healed and learned how to give and receive love. And I attribute a lot of that to, I would say to Bufo. Bufo, it's 5-MeO DMT. It's not synthetic DMT, but real Bufo secretion. I think that at that time that I did that was what really helped me, and making good friends helped me to learn how to give and receive love. And that didn't happen overnight. It wasn't one and done. Like I had done ayahuasca, it was failed at it. Didn't fail at it, but I couldn't receive it. That's when I learned that I couldn't give and I couldn't receive. Just sitting with Aya, and I was like, I just rejected it. And yeah, so it's been a process. But as you're going home, it's gonna be okay. Just set a boundary, and don't make yourself small, but you don't have to take the bait. And as you're feeling triggered, let that trigger be a trigger to a new thing. So instead of, my mom is playing dumb and all of a sudden can't figure out how to open a jar because I'm home now, instead of getting mad and belittling her and just being like, oh my God, like acting like a teenager, I open the jar and I take a deep breath and I look at her like she's like there's a child in her that's coming out, and I just deal with it. And that's where I'm at. And so it's kind of like, and I've used this example before in my teachings, like say, for example, that you're an alcoholic and you feel a triggered stress or whatever, and you like, I need a drink. And then you go and have your drink. Instead of feeling the stress arise and the trigger being drinking, let the trigger be like, I'm gonna go for a walk. And you have to have discipline, right? This isn't for the weak. You have to have discipline. And where I'm gonna sit and meditate. I'm gonna sit with this. And I'm gonna feel this. I'm gonna feel this pain instead of numbing it. So let the trigger be triggered to something else instead of what it always triggers. So my family drove me crazy. I'm not gonna let it trigger an angry teenager, a sad little girl, I'm gonna let it trigger a compassionate mother. And that sucks. But it's better than going back down that rabbit hole of pain. That's a healed woman right there showing up with that. And eventually I'll be in a place where I'm married and I feel safe with a man and I can hold space for my family in the way that they need, and he can hold space for me. And I don't always have to have it all together. But right now, like I'm okay. Like I'm not interested in dating. I don't have time for it. Like I don't have the energy to put into what it would mean to be in a conscious relationship in a way that really is like meaningful. And I recognize how it's like a job. It's like you really have to be present with it and work it. Like you have to work it. Love isn't just like bibbity bobbity boo love. It's you have to work at it. And I know this because I was married for 11 years and it did not end well. Anyway, right now I'm gonna approach this holiday season with some grace. And whenever you go home, maybe you find a picture of yourself. Maybe you find a picture of yourself. Maybe you don't stay that long. Maybe you get in and get out. And if anybody's got a problem with that, fuck them. Okay? Love you. You're doing great. You've come this far. I'm so fucking proud of you. Don't stop. Don't stop. Because right where it gets really prickly is where the ego is like, I'm uncomfortable with this. It's just fear. And you're gonna find more of yourself on the other side of that. Complacency will be the death of you. So don't do that. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. Love. Bye. Thanks for listening.